The right-wing messaging campaign about this shutdown has become so bad. Putin's probably looking at us thinking, I wish I could have a propaganda campaign that is that meticulously put together and that is, that strong and unwavering as the Republican campaign about this shutdown. I have a clip from Hannity's show. I'll play it and then I'll go over like 50,000 reasons why it's the dumbest thing you ever heard, and it should probably be illegal. We should have a constitutional amendment to the First Amendment to outlaw this type of misinformation. It is that bad. Here it is.
So we are clear. Here's a list put together by the Speaker's office detailing the Democrats' actual demands to open the government. Apparently, they will only reopen the government if they get a whopping $200 billion of your tax dollars for health care benefits for illegals. They also want permanent emergency Obamacare COVID subsidies. Remember, they were supposed to be temporary. $500 million for PBS and NPR. $4 million to LGBTQ democracy grants in the Balkans. $2 million for feminist democratic principles in Africa. Not sure what that means. They want $1.5 trillion total in new spending to open the government for a whopping 7 weeks.
The funniest thing about this, if your case is so strong, why will the Republicans do literally anything but debate this with Democrats? Like, all Donald Trump has to do, he did it in his first shutdown, but at least he had a policy there. He was arguing at the border about the border wall. Like, why doesn't he argue in front of the nation to Chuck Schumer about this? Because he knows what he's saying is a complete lie. And guess what? There's no way that Mike Johnson could have come up with that list, because he has never even negotiated with Chuck Schumer, right? Chuck Schumer has one demand, and it is to extend the premium tax credits, which if left as is, in other words, if they're going to go away, 5 million people will become uninsured. 20 plus million people will have their expenses dramatically raised. Many people, 2 to 3 times raised. This is the easiest thing to do to negotiate with Republicans, because it involves $0 to illegal immigrants. Chuck Schumer is not demanding that the loophole of the provider tax be shut. That's the $200 billion. And the other funny thing about this, notice how the numbers that they put up there did not add up to 1.5 trillion, right? They had to trail off at the end to include random USAID programs that the Democrats have at certain times in their public record been in favor of, right? All of this is stitched together from random Democrat statements. None of this is ever coalesced into a proposal. If you want to see the proposal, go to Chuck Schumer's Twitter. He makes it very clear all he wants is the expanded premium tax credits, and that is a very, very reasonable demand to ask for. And what's the right-wing response to that? Oh, well, we'll talk about it after you reopen the government with our budget, right? It's never giving an actual policy reason. No, they're way beyond policy. They don't like to talk about policy. At least the border wall was a policy. This is literally just lying, and I don't know what for. It's so easy. Like, Republicans like this policy. It pulls at like 80%. It is such a popular policy. It costs nothing. It costs like $35 billion. And it's probably the single line item right now that increases people's quality of life, right? All of the, like, some Democrats have floated the idea of, getting rid of the whole healthcare section of the big beautiful bill. That would be amazing. If they were to do that, then that would take with it, and this is where the other false claim comes in, the $50 billion rural hospital fund. Why do we need a $50 billion rural hospital fund? Because the broader healthcare section of the big beautiful bill cuts. It's designed literally to cut Medicaid funding, and they acknowledge that, but they're only going to really patch it up in red rural states, and we have no idea how this fund is managed. So the fund is a stupid policy. But when they say they want to repeal it, what they really mean is Democrats want to take away the whole big beautiful bill, making the slush fund unnecessary. And it is stupid policy. It should never be that way. It should never be managed that way. It's a very partisan way of distributing the funds, right, to these hospitals that we know operate on negative margins, and that we know people are going to lose their health insurance, contrary to what the Trump's White House has been trying to say, right? This is a direct contradiction. And they admit it by putting this line item in the big, beautiful bill. It's just beyond me how these people can live with themselves. Like, at least make the conservative argument. Make, like, the fiscal conservative argument. It's wrong, but at least try to make it. You don't have to lie. Like, are you for government spending or not? If you're not for government spending on healthcare, then why are you even posting an image of that? You should be cheering for the slashing of the $50 billion rural hospital fund. When have you ever supported spending on healthcare? Except now. It hurts my brain to even think about. It's not even a game of policy anymore. So that's basically it for the shutdown. I do want to make two other points about two of my past segments, I believe yesterday and the day before, about the Gaza ceasefire deal and then about Putin. Because, I did the Alex Jones video and then I covered the whole messaging about the ceasefire plan. It goes in line with the propaganda messaging, right? The people who say this is peace in the Middle East, that's like saying, we had peace in the Middle East after the Abraham Accords. We had peace in the Middle East after Oslo 1. We had peace in the Middle East after Oslo 2. We had peace in Russia, Ukraine after Minsk 1. We had peace in Russia, Ukraine after Minsk 2. Like, it's so annoying to use this phraseology. Any single development is peace in the Middle East. Like, October 6th was peace in the Middle East, according to Donald Trump. It's just silly. What Donald Trump has proposed with the 20-point peace plan is like an Oslo 1, but worse. Because at least the Oslo Accords got the Palestinian Authority to recognize Israel. This is worse. It doesn't even take any steps towards a lasting solution. And there was that clip by the Biden official that emphasized that the Biden team was very clear to Netanyahu. Like, if you don't have a plan after this to settle this conflict on the terms of international law, you will get October 7th again and again and again. And it's along the same lines here. Fox News has done like 20 segments on it, and it's just really annoying. This is not peace in the Middle East. There will not be peace in the Middle East until there's probably a Palestinian state. About Putin, that Alex Jones segment with Tucker Carlson. There was also a Piers Morgan segment that touched on this. How secure is Putin? That's a very interesting question to me, especially when this war seems more hopeless than ever. Why does it seem like Putin's dragging out the war? I think it's what is a part of the war that no one's really been reporting on is, number one, the amount of Russian soldiers who are deserting their post. We know of 50,000 of them. So the soldiers themselves know they're going to die. There's a 50+% chance they're going to die, at least, when they go into conflict, because it's so uncoordinated. We knew that from the leader of the Wagner Group, right? The elites are protesting how incompetent this war is, even at those highest levels. But going on with that, when these people realize how many of their family members have died, and already a third of Russians know someone who's died in this war. When the war ends, everyone comes home, and people realize how many people have died, and they realize that they're not getting social media back. That's when Putin could be insecure. That's kind of the nail in the coffin for why I think that Putin is never going to end this war. So he might as well give Ukraine the Tomahawk missiles. Putin is never going to reach a settlement here, a settlement that the West would deem acceptable, or Ukraine would deem even close to acceptable. So we might as well put maximum pressure on Putin and not do Tucker Carlson's plan, which is just to cede to Putin because he's just an innocent, victim of NATO, right? According to Tucker Carlson. But that's just an interesting point there.